Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to Last Call, where the booze flows and the fandom grows. And tonight, my special guest bartender is Mike from the channel Pacific 414. I think you'll like him and his channel. We'll see how we get along, though. He's a Chicago Cubs fan, or as my grandfather called them, the Cubs. So maybe we'll have a crosstown showdown. Or maybe we'll do what we do every week. Drink, get silly, and talk about fun stuff. So fill your glasses and settle in. Here we go. Play ball! Yeah, not so much a Cubs fan, but our special guest tonight is.
Me too.
Yeah, Netter. So we're gonna have a crosstown problem here, right here in the house. First, let me bring in my designated driver. I'm gonna need him because I'm already one drink in. How you doing, Agent Boomer? And what you sipping on?
I got myself just a Coke. That's it.
Now I know you know the Sox. I know you know the Cubs, but you're a Florida man. So who's your team?
Okay, if I have it, I'm not really a baseball follower, but of course, if I go by family traits and friends, you forget that I grew up in New Jersey, especially in a part of New Jersey that was very close to New York City. So of course, it would be the New York Yankees. My grandfather was a huge Yankees fan. My sister,
I dig it.
Actually. So,
sure, I dig it. Yeah, no, that's the only reason I claim to be a Sox fan myself. Is my grandfather was a South Sider. We'll get into that a little bit with our special guest bartender, Mike from Pacific 414. How you doing, and what you sipping on?
I am sipping on water right now, sir.
That's perfectly fine. At least you're staying hydrated. You might need to for the sake of the stream. But I do know that you are a Cubs fan, and the reason I know that is because I have followed your channel for a while, and I see you do videos not only about pop cultural topics as we do, but you specifically do streams about the Cubs. So we were talking a little bit back in the green room. You want to share with the crowd? Oh, there! Oh, I love it! You really are a true blue Cubs fan.
Die hard. I've been a true blue Cub fan for 34 years.
Well, amen. So, what's the story behind that? Because you are not, you said, from the Chicagoland area.
No, I am not. And the way it began was I had some neighbors who originally were from Chicago. My friend's mother was a Sox fan. His sister was a Sox fan. His youngest brother is a Sox fan. He's a Sox fan, and his dad is a Cub fan. I completely screwed
You got
that up.
indoctrinated, is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically, yes. Because of my friend,
I dig it.
and his brother.
I dig it. No, that's cool. It's cool. Yeah. So the joke over here in our house is Netter, who is she's my bouncer, and she's sitting 5 feet away from me. She is a North Sider. My grandfather is a South Sider. He used to live around Taylor and Laughlin. He actually used to own an apartment building there. For those of you that know the Chicago area, if you know the Little Italy area, Mario's Italian lemonade stand, Al's Italian beef, it was literally a block away from there that he lived. So he was naturally a Sox fan. So that's the rivalry here in Chicago. You got the Cubs, you got the Sox, and I choose to believe it's a good-natured, kind of rivalry, because honestly, if you are a Chicago fan, you root for the Sox when the Sox are playing. You root for the Cubs when the Cubs are playing. It's if they ever both made it to the World Series, that this city would be screwed, but I don't think that's ever happened that I can think of. But,
it's not that way in New York.
Last time it happened was in 1906, and the Sox.
Yeah, it was before my time. As old as I am, that's still before my time. But and we've had the arguments about who got to the World Series most recently, and blah blah blah, and this and that. But it's true. My grandfather was a huge Sox fan. He moved to Ohio and met somebody like yourself, Mike, who was a Cubs fan, but not from the Chicago area, which was kind of cool. And so they had this really cool friendly rivalry. And you go, So how are the Cubs doing? And everyone would laugh, and it was good-natured stuff. But no, you that is one of the things about your channel. You are a unlike many of the people and YouTube channels that I've had as guests over here, you kind of follow some sports, and so at least part of your channel is dedicated to the Cubs because you are such a fan.
Yeah, and it wasn't something that happened overnight. I was thinking about doing my channel for over a year, and I was thinking, what do I want it to be about?
Right.
And of course, the Cubs popped into mind, especially with how they were doing at the time. I was thinking, well, yeah, I could do something Cubs related, but then I got to thinking, I don't want it to be strictly Cubs. I want it to branch out. So then I started doing episode reviews on the channel. Then I started doing movie reviews on the channel. A little bit of, live streams around video games.
Yep. And I think that's actually a brilliant combination. You have multiple things, and you bring in different audiences. And they may not follow every single one of your videos, but they're like, I'm here for the sports, or I'm here for the reviews, or I'm here for the whatever. By the way, links in the description. Always in the description is everyone involved in the show and whoever the guest is this week. So make sure you right-click on the link below, open up another, page, subscribe to them because you're my buddy and you want to encourage me by encouraging my guests. So please do that. Let me say hi to the chat real quick.
Hi, the chat.
Hi, the chat. Exactly. Right. So, depends on how you count this. Big Al was first, but he's the first, and then he goes away and does other things, and then he comes back later. So, hi, Big Al. But first that was here at the time that we started was my favorite Blue Wrench. I'm sorry, Netter. I love you with all my heart, but Deleted Seeds, Stephen Otten is absolutely the hardest working Blue Wrench in all of YouTube. Come on, you have to admit that too.
I'm your favorite blue wrench. He's your fastest blue wrench.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And Deleted Scene starts out by dropping all the different links. So he is awesome, people. And of course, Netter is in there saying hello to everyone. She says hi, sweetie, so that you feel special, and you should feel special because if you're here, Netter's saying hi, sweetie. With a little bit, with a little heart. Pacific 414, Mike is here. Hi, Mike. How you doing? Let's see. David Pensack. Greetings, programs. Good to see you. Oh. So you're going to be quoting Tron just like Max World Entertainment. Good on you. Good on you. That's cool. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Well, Big Al came back. So welcome. Big Al, you get mentioned twice. I see how you work. You want to get 2 mentions. Okay, good for you. Let's see here.
There's a first timer here.
Bill Verzel.
Yes.
Holy cow! Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Okay, so Bill Verzel. I don't think anybody in the community knows Bill Verzel, but Bill Verzel is a friend of Netter and myself. We went to church together. We have a long history together. Bill Verzel, thank you so much for being here. How do you even know about my Friday night show? This is awesome. So good to see you, my friend.
We've known him roughly about 25 years.
Yeah. Good to see you, my friend. We got to catch up sometime real soon.
Oh, he says a true Cubs fan would have Brick House.
Yeah, right. Brick House. Yeah, exactly. And we got Skipper Kenner here. Well,
We've known for 30 years.
So who we've known for 30 years. And of course, a lot of the regulars around here know Skipper Kenner. He's my buddy. He's a lieutenant in the local fire department. He's awesome. People went with me to the Riddler, the Arkham Asylum themed, what do you call it? Escape room for our anniversary. We were talking about that a couple weeks ago. Good to see you, my friend. Matt Anui, dude. Matt Anui, always good to see you. You got a complex. You think that sometimes because you chat a lot. No. If you chat a lot, that does not annoy. Well, it certainly doesn't annoy me, and it's my channel, so fuck anybody who's got a problem with that. You are awesome, my friend. I am so glad you are here.
And we also have Patawanami.
Patawanami. How you doing? Good to see you. Have we seen you before? I don't know, but I'm glad you're here. You are awesome, and I super appreciate you. Every single one of you that comes in here says hi, hits the like button, hopefully the subscribe button. You have encouraged me. I super appreciate it. Good to see all of you. Okay, so let's see how do I do this? How do I bring up chats? Comments, go to the last one, Skipper Kenner, Matt Anui, chat a lot, chat early and often, don't stop. Oh yeah, that's a Chicago thing. Early and often. That's how we vote around here, apparently. Somehow, no matter how often Nanette and I vote, the Democrats still win. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, but it is what it is. But that's right. I'd actually forgotten this fact because this actually predates our having met. But Bill Verzel was a local firefighter too. So Skipper Kenner, you and Bill Verzel have some things in common, and I know that Bill Verzel has heard the name. Your real name. I'm not gonna dox you here. You can dox yourself if you so choose. But anyway, there we go. So we are all caught up with the chat. We are all caught up together. So Mike, Pacific 414. I have been following you for a while now, and I'm not sure I know where the name comes from. I speculated that it might have had to do. Are you like a railway fan? Is this the, George Bush train or something? Or is this something entirely different?
Here's how it came up.
Okay.
I used to live in California, born and raised, was there until I was 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, you have the Pacific Ocean out there. You have the Pacific Coast Highway. And there's a street I grew up on called Pacific Street.
Okay.
So I was thinking, you know what? Even though I'm no longer in California, I have good memories out there, and maybe I'll name the channel Mike Pacific, which I actually did for a short time.
Okay.
But I never went live with anything because I was thinking, I don't know, Mike Pacific. It seems kind of weird. It
Sure.
felt weird to me. So then I thought, you know what? Come up with a name that doesn't pigeonhole you into any particular category. This way, I'm not into a certain subject all the time. The channel's not
Sure.
always rotating around a certain subject all the time. So I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna drop my first name in the channel name, but I'll still put it into an introduction, especially when I'm, starting the video, welcoming people. I'll let them know who I am. So I was thinking, okay, so do I just want to keep it Pacific? Well, I tried it, didn't work. Somebody already had it. So I thought, all right, there's a number that you like, 414. Put that one in. So I went with Pacific 414, and
Okay, I went down completely the wrong rabbit hole because I've got a buddy, Mark. A lot of the followers know of Mark. He's a local Klingon, good friend of mine. He is a big railway enthusiast. And so by osmosis, I have picked up a lot of railway information. And there is a Union Pacific 4141 train, what do you call it, engine? Yeah, that is dedicated to the 41st president, H.W. Bush, that I thought might have been related. I thought, okay, yeah, that would have made sense, but your explanation makes perfect sense too. So there you go.
well, and here's the thing, I do like trains because down from the street where I grew up in, there were train tracks, and a train used to go by each and every day. In the morning it would come by, and in the afternoon it would come by. So that began my love affair of trains.
Netter, the train comes by so often you don't even notice. You guys get that, right? Blues Brothers. There you go.
Reference, yeah.
So okay, so 1,000 foot, 3,000 foot. I don't know what the saying is. Overview. Tell us about your channel, Mike.
Well, my channel is pretty much for everybody. Whether you're a Cubs fan or not, you can come and watch the recaps where I'll give my honest opinion of the day's game. If I think the Cubs did something stupid, I'll say they did something stupid. If they had a great game, I'll say they had a great game. If the other team did something good, I'll give kudos to the other team. I'll give kudos to the other players. That's pretty much the box score.
You have any thoughts about the rumors that the Cubs are moving out of Chicago? Moving out to the suburbs? You don't think it's going to happen?
No. They spent too much money renovating Wrigley Field. Why are you going to spend all that money renovating Wrigley Field and the surrounding neighborhood and then move to the suburbs? It doesn't make sense.
Real quick, I want to ask my Blue Wrenches, if you haven't already, could you drop Potawatomi's?
Very did.
Oh, okay,
Both
good.
of us.
I should have known. You guys are on the freaking ball. I'm trying to run a show here. I don't necessarily catch all the comments.
Put it higher up in the chat, and I didn't see it immediately, so I put it in so we both have it.
He's awesome. He drops the links to people that don't even really put out content. He drops the links for everybody. So I should have known. You guys would have already taken care of that. You guys are awesome. And as I say in every stream, and I know that everybody who's here already knows this, but for those of you in the future that stop by and see this, you have no idea how much it encourages every single YouTuber when they get that little dopamine hit from a sub. It really anything that gets you closer to that magic number really, really matters.
It's like I sub everybody that comes into the chat, and even if you don't have content, I've subbed people just because eventually you might have content, and then you've already got some subscribers built up. So you're not starting from zero.
Yeah, and the fact is, I am in the demographic that is probably the hardest to grow a channel, unless I,
Goofy?
No. That's not what I meant. But I don't go after the content that I've had a couple bigger YouTubers say, you know what you need to do? You have to go and you have to start reviewing these Indian films because they're getting real big and they're getting lots of hits. Bollywood. And it's like, but I haven't seen a freaking single one. I'm not into it. I feel that would be selling out if I did that just in order to get people subscribing to me, know. But the other thing is, there's other demographics that I don't fall into. Yes, I have breasts, but they're not the kind of breasts that people like to look at. So I'm not growing my channel as quickly as some of the. Is it okay for me to say female? Does female still exist these days? I don't know, but if you're in a competition trying to grow your channel faster than a woman, forget it. She's going to grow her channel faster than you.
Yep.
Just by virtue of the fact that she's a woman. It's just the way it is.
So how come 300 subs behind you?
There is a tipping point. You're going to hit a point where people are going to go, hey, she's hot, and start subscribing to you. Seriously. And this is an out of context comment. My 17-year-old loved it. I don't know what.
Skipper Kenner took the boys to a concert at Joliet Prison for the Blues Brothers this past weekend.
No kidding! Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Belushi and Aykroyd were on stage.
Bill Verzel said, last year we were at a haunted house in Aurora, and we took a quick little detour past the prison. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that an actual haunted house or like one you pay to get into?
It's the kind you pay to get into. Okay. We know a lot of people that moobs. Yes, Bill. I have moobs. I absolutely do. They are not attractive. They do not bring any subscriptions to the yard. Let me tell you. We have known people that work in the industry that set up the. It's believe it or not. Think about your local haunted house for Halloween, right? It really is a year-round thing because they're already planning the next year after they break down, the haunted house at the end of the Halloween season, and they're already planning and building and getting stuff together and writing scripts. They plan out like a story related to their haunted house. They do some really great work. We've known some people in that industry.
Yeah, even in my area, Halloween's a big thing. So there's this area called Festival Park where they'll actually put up a haunted mansion and set up everything for Halloween for the whole month of October until Halloween Day. And people can go down and get freaked out if they want to get freaked out, or just go down and look around. And
and I'm going to say one thing to all y'all that are like, it isn't even whatever month, and you guys are talking about Halloween. It isn't even whatever month, and you're talking about Christmas. Look, people love the friggin' holidays. This is something that brings them joy, and it's what they look forward to all year. Okay? So you don't need to shit on people's joy. Okay? Just get over it. All right? But Mike, the fact is you are not, I don't want to give people the impression that you're just a sports channel, because you're not. That's like, I don't know, a third of what your channel is about. So tell us more about your channel.
It's only part of who I'm about. I like pop culture. We talked about baseball earlier. Well, there were times where I would be out with my friends playing baseball, and there was more than plenty of us playing the game. And I'd look at the time and I'd go, oh, wait a minute. The latest episode of Next Generation's coming on. Deep Space Nine's coming on. Voyager's coming on.
Good man.
I got to get home and catch the latest episode. And I got a lot of crap for it, but I don't want to miss this episode.
That's interesting because I think I alluded to this previously. Netta and I aren't really, if we're being honest, we're not huge sports fans. She's North Side, I'm South Side, so nominally, she's Cubs, I'm Sox. But the reality is we don't care. We're Chicago fans, and we don't really follow sports much at all. In fact, I've gotten more from your channel than I've gotten from any other source, to be honest with you. I don't otherwise pay attention to it. But Netta and I did come together through Star Trek. She was at a Star Trek convention that I was working security for, and we started dating a week later, and we got married 6 months later.
8 months later.
8 months later, okay.
We met beginning December of 91. By the end of December of 91, we were engaged. We married 8 months later.
We eloped, specifically, and there's a whole story behind that. We talked about that a couple weeks ago when we celebrated our 30th anniversary, so go back and check that out and hit the like button if you want to encourage us for our anniversary. But yeah, we're not huge sports fans, but because we are pop cultural fans, and because I follow you, Mike, I've absorbed some Cubs, at least recent news, just because of you. So, congrats to you on that, proselytizing the Cubs.
Yeah, I've had some people on here say, yeah, you're in for trouble if you talk about sports in this community. I'm thinking, I'm trying to give you an outlet where you can say, okay, he's talking about sports, but that's not who he's all about.
Right.
There's more to him than just sports.
The channel is a well-rounded channel. Yeah.
Well, my best friend from childhood, he was a sports fan. He was into, especially into baseball paraphernalia, and of course he was a Yankees fan. But he was also big into Doctor Who, the old school Doctor Who, and we would talk about that. But it's people are into what they're into.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Star Trek, I was 7 years old when I got into the original series, and I remember what episode it was. It was Tomorrow is Yesterday. That's the episode that got me hooked.
Okay, so was that the one where Spock and Mariel, what's her name, was he goes back in time or something like that, and he was...
It's the one where the Enterprise... It's the one where the Enterprise crew goes back in time to 1960s Earth. They encounter the Air Force pilot. They beam him aboard.
Oh, right. Christopher, who was supposed to be his son, was like going to go to Saturn or some stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a cool one. Didn't care for the way they dealt with the whole beam him back and he somehow forgets or something like that. They kind of played fast and loose with their own their own time travel rules. But yeah, it was a great episode. Yeah, and so like I said, Netta and I met at a Star Trek convention, went to see Star Trek 6 together. Actually, I was working security for that for an event they were having there. And Skipper Kenner knows all about this. He was there with us.
I looked into his big brown eyes and said, "I'm going to marry this man," and then I did.
Yes, she did. But I have a show coming up in a couple weeks where I'll be talking about custom action figures, and I'll be showing off some of my custom Mego Klingons, and I will be showing off, well, actually I'll be probably spending more time on Star Wars than I do on Star Trek, but yeah, we'll get into that a whole lot.
May
I
ask our guest a question?
Of course, man.
I know you're the.
I don't want to just talk over you, man.
Have you heard of the movie Fever Pitch that came out a while back?
I have.
Was that movie accurate at all, or was it not accurate to what it's like to be?
I haven't watched it, so I can't really say whether it was or whether it wasn't.
Okay, all right. I haven't seen it either. I just didn't know. Maybe Troy's seen it.
I'm sorry, I was asking for another drink. What have I
The
not
movie
seen?
Fever Pitch. Neither of us have seen it.
I've never even heard of it.
Okay, it had Drew Barrymore in it, and
Drew Barrymore.
it was about a
Beautiful
couple
woman
man.
who is in the news a great deal today because she committed the cardinal sin of enjoying being rained on. The internet is weird. It is really weird.
Well, this conversation went. Okay.
Honestly, yeah. If someone were to listen to this conversation 30 years from now out of context, it would make absolutely no sense. But for those of you not in the know, Drew Barrymore put out a video of herself getting rained on, and she was having a good time, as
Wait a
many of us
Did
do.
she put this out, or did somebody leak it?
No. She put it. I think it was a selfie type of thing. I think
Okay,
that's
I see.
part of the story behind it. She was basically saying, "Hey, look, I'm getting rained on and I'm having a good time." You know, amen. Just sharing her joy with the masses, right?
Right.
And a lady of color had to take a clip of it and castigate her because she is privileged as a white person to be able to enjoy going out and, you know, getting rained on and whatnot. And if she was a black person, apparently you got to be miserable all the time, and racism. And it's like, and the internet's blowing up like, the hell is wrong with you, girl?
Oh boy.
You know, I mean, I don't know. It's gotten to the point where you really have to do incredible friggin' mental gymnastics in order to call things racist, but everything's got to be fucking racist somehow.
Well, I saw that video and I'm listening to her explanation and I'm going, huh? What? Are you listening to yourself?
Yeah, and the video, and it's out there all over the YouTubes and the Twitters and the whatever. And yeah, it's verbal diarrhea. It doesn't make any sense.
Verbal diarrhea. Okay.
But yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to type. I don't have to type because it's my channel. I'm just going to say what I want to say. Bill, I'm sorry. Yeah, I use some language. Okay, I do a show every Friday. I don't censor myself, and I drink a little bit, and I have a good time. Netter's here with me. She mostly keeps me in line, but you know what? This is my relaxed. I'm sorry if it bothers you. You know, just wanted to share that.
What did I miss?
Just warning Bill about, you know, the drink and the language, because it's my channel, and you know what? This is just me being me. You know.
Well, that's the last one you're getting. So after that, you're switching to something softer.
Well, yeah, I pretty much. Otherwise, I'm going to have a headache. So yeah, it's probably
Anyway,
for the
it was
best.
it was neat hearing Mike talk about how he'd be playing like a ball game, and then he'd have to go home and watch these ways. And I remember my father, he'd be playing with the kids in the park. I guess maybe they'd be playing baseball or stickball or something, and he'd run home to listen to Superman on the radio, because that was around when he was a kid. That was the Superman radio show. So I just thought that was neat.
Yep. Because the way I looked at it, you know, I can only see this episode as a brand new episode once. I can always play baseball the next day.
Exactly.
One of the great things about the old Superman serials is that they've those old original radio shows have fallen into the public domain, and so YouTubers are carrying them, and you can go check them out. And you can be amazed by how different Superman was back at the beginning than he is now.
Do you know Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, back at the beginning, Netter has even pointed out to me he was not above, you know, kind of being a jerk, and sometimes he even killed the bad guy. Now Superman is apparently gay. So,
Well,
very different world.
Anyway, do you remember do you know what they introduced on the radio show? What was introduced on the radio show?
Kryptonite.
Kryptonite.
Yep, I know that. It was introduced because, and I'm drawing a blank on the voice actor who played Superman. He got sick and he needed to take some time off, so they introduced the concept of kryptonite for why Superman couldn't talk or he sounded different or whatever it was. I used to go to the Metropolis, Illinois Superman celebration every year, and they used to do reenactments of the radio show. They actually had the script, people on screen. They were dressed in period attire, and they acted out as if they were the voice actors doing the radio show on stage. It was a lot of fun, and that was one of the things they talked about. That was cool stuff. But
and I've heard some experts from some old radio dramas, and all the work that they had to put into those to make you picture it in your mind what was going on with the characters. Just like if you're watching a game on TV, it's not the same. Or watching, Superman on TV or in the movies, it's not the same. Having to hear somebody describe each and every little bit of what's going on,
those
you have to
radio
work your
dramas.
imagination. Yeah.
Yeah, Netter, if you can find Gino's what is that late night horror YouTube channel, if you can drop his link,
Gino, Gino.
No, you're gonna find it under, I think, late night horror.
Oh,
Yeah, late night horror. He's got a great channel that plays like literally all night, and he plays these old public domain, horror stories and thriller stories that used to play on the radio all the time. And yeah, you can get kind of a great idea of exactly what he's talking about. I mean, Star Wars fans, public radio used to carry the all three of the original trilogy as a radio drama.
That's right.
And it's definitely worth checking out because it includes... Yep, thank you, Netter. It includes all of the... a lot of stuff that was in the novelizations that didn't make it to film. A lot of concepts that were in the script that were dropped. It's a much more expansive story. And some of the same actors, reprised their roles. Others weren't. I do believe Anthony Daniels has this thing about he always has to be C-3PO. He'll do C-3PO's voice for frickin' anything. But, I think like Han Solo, I don't know, maybe Mark Hamill reprised his role, but Harrison Ford didn't. I don't remember exactly. But definitely worth checking out because it was a great deal more expansive. For example, there's the whole story about Luke looking through his macro binoculars and seeing the battle above, and then going to Tashi Station and telling everyone about that. All of that is in the novelization, and it's also in the audio drama as well. Right. And there's a lot of people that are like, I'm sure that I saw those scenes before, but they're not in any version that I can find of Star Wars. Yeah. No, there's two ways that you knew about it. One was the storybook. There was a kid's storybook from Scholastic Readers that had pictures and included that element of the story. And the other place was if you listen to the audio drama on public radio. So, my little bit of Star Wars trivia for the night. There you go.
So, Mike, were you a Deep Space Nine fan?
Oh, yeah. Of the spin-offs, Deep Space Nine is number one to me. And when Deep Space Nine came out, I was like, why did we need a Star Trek series set on a space station? And my biggest holdup was the runabouts. Thinking, a runabout? Really? It's just a bigger, bulkier shuttle.
It is. It's basically a Corvette. It's just a way to get around when you're buoyed to a space station, right? It does make sense when you think about it. I thought it was a brilliant idea. The problem was living in the Chicago area. So, Mike, you're a Chicago fan, but you didn't live in the Chicago area. Deep Space Nine appeared on WGN, just like the Cubs. And because the Cubs were always playing when Deep Space Nine was supposed to be playing. We never got to see the frickin' Deep Space Nine. So we got to see Deep Space Nine at a special time at midnight on Saturday, or early in the morning on Sunday, or some other frickin' time. And it'd be like, catch Deep Space Nine next week at a special time. You know what would be a special time? If it was the same time 2 weeks in a friggin' row. WGN, screw you.
I don't know. I think a midnight Star Trek show might be kind of neat, but if it was a regular...
what would happen
if you knew about it, but you didn't because it was a different time every friggin' week.
You know what they should have done? They should have always done a repeat at midnight, like on Saturday night or something. So if you missed it early,
I wish you had worked for WGN here in Chicago, Agent Boomer. I really do. Holy crap! To this day haven't seen about half of the Deep Space Nine episodes, and I have them all on DVD.
Honey, pretend your wife has a headache and use that voice.
Because you do have a headache. I'm sorry.
But I did want to make a point that baseball features prominently on Deep Space Nine, doesn't it?
That's true.
Very true. And that's not the reason why Deep Space Nine is the #1 spinoff. It's because, in my view, Deep Space Nine is better than Next Generation, better than Voyager, better than Enterprise. You actually saw character growth, not just with the main characters, but the supporting characters as well.
Yeah,
Nog,
you're right
for
about
example, starts off as this troubled teenager, Ferengi, and he goes to Cisco in one episode and pretty much begs him to let him go into Starfleet.
Yeah.
And, the fact that Nog ends up being a lieutenant at the end of the series and everything that character goes through is great. Everything that Cisco goes through from the beginning of the series, where you see him in Emissary and is, meeting with Picard in the observation lounge on the Enterprise, and the look he's giving Picard, like, you son of a gun.
Yeah.
I'm saying son of a gun because I don't know your language barriers here on your channel.
The only thing you can't do is drop the GD bomb. Other than that, you can say the F bomb as much as you like.
Yeah.
Okay.
F bomb all you want. Yeah.
Cisco's looking at Picard like, you son of a bitch. Because of you, I lost my wife. And why? Because he was simulated by the Borg.
And that's the kind of writing that I think makes the Orville so good today.
Yeah.
Because you've got that sensibility, right? Where you can have fun with it, but at the same time you can also be serious. And you can have some really deep cutting stories. That is some good writing. Personally, for me and Netter, the reason Deep Space Nine has such an affinity for us is because I think we got more good Klingon lore from Deep Space Nine than from any other series. Don't get me wrong. We got some great stuff from Next Gen. We got the whole Afterlife storyline, Barge of the Dead and so forth from Voyager. But Deep Space Nine had episodes actually set on a Klingon ship. Okay. There was the one episode where Riker served on a Klingon ship. So we got some great, what was that, Matter of Honor or something like that? I forget the name.
A Matter of Honor where, at one point Riker's told 2 women are interested in him and he's asked
one or both.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're like, it's like, whoo. Yeah, no, I mean, and Klingon, do I want to go here? So then we get to the modern day in Star Trek Discovery, and the very first nudity that we get in Star Trek happens to be the Klingons.
Oh,
just gotta say, the first boobs that we see are Klingon boobs. Just want to throw that out there for y'all.
Well, honey, you can see Klingon boobs.
I was gonna say I have access to Klingon boobs all the time, so no problem there.
Well, here's the thing. I was even asked recently on a stream about the Duras sisters. Which one did I like more, Lursa or Betor? I said Betor. I like her better.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah. She was the younger of the two sisters.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That reminds me, on Spike TV, there was a commercial once, and this one guy was looking through, wow, these Star Trek The Next Generation ratings are through the charts of the repeats they were showing. And then, like, they had the Klingon women, like, paused on the screen, and he asked the guy, hey, would you? Would I what? Then he goes, poon. I think he basically said with his fist or something. And then, like, the guy goes, no. And he says, I would.
I gotta tell you that. So I've always seen the Klingons as being the anti-Vulcans, right? The Vulcans were all logical and no emotion, and the Klingons were pure passion. And I was like, look, who wants to live like a Vulcan, right? I want to live like a Klingon.
I'm here.
And Skipper Kenner, one of these days I'm going to have you on my channel. We're gonna chat, because I've done my anniversary, story with me and Netter, but we got to talk about our shared Star Trek history. Skipper Kenner, Netter, and I were all in a Federation-based Star Trek club together that fucking imploded. I mean, it was a mess, the way a lot of clubs, and anyone who understands social media understands the clubs back in the day, and it just fell apart. And we jumped ship, and Netter and I ended up joining the local Klingon group. And honestly, I feel like we're all the better for it, because the Klingons knew how to frickin' party, and it's like, look, if you don't agree with us on the things that we believe about lore, we don't care. What kind of booze did you bring, and what kind of food did you bring? And let's fucking party. And it's be like, you know what? Klingons all the way. So,
They're my favorite race out of all the Star Trek races.
Yeah. So one of the things I don't actually mention too much on my channel, and I really should, because I actually want to get my alternate channel to over 100 subscribers, so that I can create a custom URL for it. I have a channel called Kartan the Klingon Cleric that doesn't have a lot of content yet. But one of the things that it does have is a Klingon parody of Good Eats. Any of you that are fans of the Food Network's Alton Brown channel, Good Eats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a Klingon version of that. It's Good Eats Kotnosh. And I do a video about Gach. And I actually started to film one on Pippius Claw, but I won't go into the details, but the footage didn't work, and I'm going to have to refilm it all. And
I don't want to give you any ideas.
Yes, you do. Go ahead.
If you want to do a funny short video, you could say, listen, we don't normally talk about, Earth food on here.
Yeah.
But they have a wonderful nectar on there, and it's a thing of prune juice. You can pour out some prune juice.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. That would actually make a really good video. You're right.
That was the funniest thing.
I may have to consider that. Exactly. It's a warrior's drink.
Exactly. When Guided first introduces prune juice to Worf, warrior's drink. And then, of course, that was yesterday's Enterprise. And so they look out the 10 forward windows, and they see the time vortex. And then everything changes when the camera cuts to the bridge.
You're absolutely right. I hadn't thought about that. And when I think about prune juice, it's like, look, I think prune juice would be a great mixer with Romulan ale. Just saying. It's worth a try,
Do do Klingons drink Romulan ale, or is that considered like a verboten thing in their culture? Like you don't touch it.
Well, I think it's kind of like Cuban cigars. It's like you may not agree with those damn socialists, but their cigars are good, right? You may absolutely hate the Romulans, but they make this really good ale. I think probably the best. Well, there's two films that kind of cover Klingons' interaction with Romulan ale, right?
Right.
Star Trek 6, right, where everyone they serve it in the Klingon Federation, ambassadorial meeting, and everyone gets a little bit tipsy.
Romulan ale was illegal.
Strictly for medicinal purposes. It's funny because so there is a Federation of Beers. Okay, it's a company that puts out. They got a license to do Star Trek themed beers. And one of the ones that they did was Warnog, the Klingon beer.
Okay.
And I tried, and they also had a blood wine. And it turns out that I wasn't able to. I think they were based in, I want to say California, but I'm not positive. And I couldn't get it shipped to Illinois because of Illinois laws. So I asked a buddy of mine in Wisconsin, could I have this shipped to your house? And then I'll either come pick it up or you can bring it down to me, whatever. He said, yeah, go ahead, do that thing. So we got a whole case of Warnog. We got a whole case of blood wine. And
no, that was a Chateau Picard.
No, Chateau Picard we got directly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, we got that because Chateau Picard is a nationwide distribution. So that's so. Side note, breaking with the story, Chateau Picard is actually a real wine. There is a real Chateau Picard, and the Star Trek people didn't know that when they put it into the show. So there ended up becoming a synergy without them even realizing it. But yes, we of course have bought a couple bottles of.
Well, who's to say that this Picard vineyard
is not the same? Yeah, that retroactively Star Trek has said that.
True.
But yeah, when I asked him if I could have it shipped to his house and then get it from him, I posted on social media. I said thank you to this friend. Tagged him. I said it's because of thank you for smuggling this blood wine to me across the neutral zone. I really appreciate it. Yeah, this is I don't know if this is gonna. I don't think it's gonna show up because there we go. Chateau Picard. This is
nice.
Like I said, it's a real. We actually went to
Binny's. We
got it from Binny's? Yeah. Binny's, which I believe is a national chain.
It actually tastes pretty good.
Is it a California wine? Does it say on there? Or is that a French wine?
It's a French wine. Saint Estèphe.
Okay, so it is a French wine. So there you go. So yes, I mean, one could retroactively say, it is...
It is Chateau Picard.
Chateau
It's
Picard.
French.
Yeah. Yeah, Pickard. But yeah, so there you go. This is one of those great examples of life imitating art or art imitating life or whatever. But it works retroactively. But yeah, we've got some bottles of no, I take that back. Yeah, it was the Warnog because the blood wine was a vintage that was being sold at, and it was licensed through the Las Vegas Star Trek experience. And we got a couple bottles of it during that, but we never opened it, and we never will, because we have no impetus to do so. We drank some while we were in Las Vegas. It was goat piss. It's not really worth it.
Does it get better with age?
Who knows? Who cares? I've got it, it's stored, and we have the bottles, and it's really just because collector's value. It is not a good wine. And if I was to ever resell them, I would say, buy this if you're a Star Trek fan. If you're a wine connoisseur, do not buy it. It sucks. I would be honest about it. But yeah, it's a cheap red blend. It's a blend, which means they had some extra wine in some of the casks and they poured it all together. And here, this is Klingon wine, whatever.
I thought they used
well,
Hawaiian
speaking
punch.
of the Star Trek experience, that's one thing I'm grateful I was able to get to it twice while it was there at the Vegas Hilton.
Oh, okay.
Before they closed it down. Because, it was nice to walk around the Museum of the Future and see some of the props that were used on the show. And
yes, that was, and I got some great pictures for costuming reasons, And what amazed me, and I tell this story a lot, I don't think I've told it on the channel, but I've said it to people in person. I got pictures and realized as I was taking these pictures of these costumes, these screen-used costumes, what you see on screen and what you see in reality, two very different things.
mm-hmm.
For example, the communicators that they wear, usually a painted resin, just like the costumers do, because if they used metal, it would make a flare in the studio lights, which they don't want. They want to be able to control the lighting. So they paint them to look metallic, but they're clearly not metallic. So when you see them in person, you're like, oh, gosh, mine actually looks better than the screen used one, because, you're going for that. Sometimes we would get reference photos because, especially with the Klingon costumes, the color of the uniforms is dependent on the lighting that they use. The ships have a lot of red and orange lighting, which changes the color of the uniforms. And when you see them under a yellow-white lighting, very different coloring. So it's worth realizing. The material that they used first and second season, no, I think it was just first season. The uniforms that they wore in the first season of Next Gen were your basic spandex, which stink to high heaven. You can't get body odor out of them. So that's why in second and third going forward, they changed to a basic cotton overshirt, kind of uniform. This was a double purpose. One, the actors could take off their jacket. They had separate pants. They could go to the bathroom between shots, basically. Okay, that's the basic thing. But, they weren't wearing, a onesie. Onesies are not fun to go to conventions in and try to go pee. Ask any of the ladies that wear, unitards. They'll tell you. It sucks, Just saying.
Dr. Yar War, remember? That was...
Exactly, and they swear up and down. And that's why, they got the pullovers, and then Picard got the jacket thing with the gray underneath and all that. There's a reason for these things, right? But the breathable costume, the cotton, so much better than the spandex, stink to high heaven. Just saying. So I'm sorry, Boomer, you were trying to say something.
No, nothing. I was thinking back to Star Trek 2, the commentary for that, and they said, yeah, these were nice uniforms, the more naval-looking uniforms, but
yes,
we couldn't afford to put pockets on them, because at that point, that would have made the costuming budget that much more if they put so there are no pockets in those uniforms, at least not in Star Trek 2.
So here's another thing from a costumer, right? Okay, costumers have learned, people that make their own costumes, right? Not buying the officially licensed costumes, but making their own. We sew pockets into friggin' everything. And if they're not in the original uniform, we'll make a hidden seam so that we can have pockets and it still looks accurate, because damn. Netter and Netter tells this story all the time. Netter and I have done Victorian reenacting, Victorian steampunk. Men have it easy because we can go to any formal wear shop, buy a tuxedo, you're good, right? Women, they have to make everything from scratch. And when Netter makes these big bustles and these huge dresses with lots of layers underneath to bulk them out, she puts a thing in the seam, puts a pocket in there, and she can put whatever she can put, like everything we want to carry around a convention into her petticoats because she's got all those layers in there where she can stuff stuff. It looks completely accurate, but there's pockets because smart. Same thing with the Star Trek costumes, Klingon uniforms when we have the the bandolier or whatever. That's where she hangs her purse. And we got, instead of a communicator, that's where we put our phone, hanging on our belt. And, we've got it all planned out. That's what costumers do.
It surprised me no company ever made a cell phone to look like a Star Trek communicator.
Well, actually they did. There was one company that had a flip phone, and it was, it had an earbud that you could use, for Bluetooth and whatnot. It was Bluetooth enabled and everything, and it would come on when you opened it. It was, they had all that. But the problem is that because the flip phone went out of fashion, and you need to have, what they need to do now is they need to make a PDA or whatever, or a phone like the pads in Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's what they should do. But anyway. But yeah, so one thing that I did want to bring up about your channel there, Mike Pacific 414, is your content very similar to ours. Not that there's any competition. YouTube is a very different thing. Those YouTubers that have similar content, it's in our best interest to support each other. And you like what Aged Boomer and I do, you want to subscribe to Pacific 414 because he's putting out parallel information to ours, oftentimes topics we don't cover, but it's in the same sphere. Boomer and I have on Sunday nights Geeky Geezers, where we kind of accumulate the week's worth of geek news and comment on it for like 2 hours in the kind of the old-fashioned news outlet format with a lot of editorialization. Okay. But you kind of do the same thing, don't you?
Yes, with Pacific 414 Pop Talk, which I do every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I try to do it every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, unless I've done a special edition of Pop Talk on a Saturday night where we talk about one particular topic instead of talking about all the news going around in entertainment and pop culture. I'll pick out one particular topic. Yep. For example, this past Saturday, we were talking about anime. Now, I'm not as versed on anime as a lot of people, but my guests were. So we were talking about why you should give anime a chance, why it's so fun to watch.
That's exactly why Aged Boomer and I get along so well, because he knows a lot about anime and modern gaming, and I know jack about both of those topics. But I know some older stuff. Despite his moniker, Aged Boomer is not the oldest of the two of us. I'm actually the older one, and I know the old. And Netter's older than me. Yes.
The ISIS show that was on opposite the Captain Marvel show.
Joanna Cameron. Google her up, Joanna Cameron. The Adventures of what is it? The Marvel. I don't remember what it was called, but her show was The Secrets of ISIS, and it was a Saturday morning show.
Action, no, not cartoon.
Yeah. It was a DC property in conjunction with Captain Marvel, what we now call Shazam. Little hokey, very 70s. Definitely worth checking out. Joanna Cameron was wow. Just wow. You know, those of you that know who Linda Carter is, if you like Linda Carter, you would love Joanna Cassidy too. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But anyway, yeah. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. And what time did you say on Wednesday, Mike?
Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And what I tell people about Pop Talk is where I'm a little more looser than I am when I'm doing something like the box score, talking about the Cubs, or doing my episode reviews or movie reviews. Now, it does get silly. Yeah, there are times where we're talking about a topic and we get completely off topic, and sometimes we never get back.
There's nothing wrong with that. I totally understand that. But it sounds like, based on the time that you're talking about, so you could at least go check out Mike's Wednesday night stream for a little while before you jump over to Soundtracks with Birdman. If he's got a show that night, you can watch one and then watch the other on replay.
Or whatever,
I mean, it's that's one of the beauties of the streaming YouTube kind of concept. So,
and leave a comment if you're watching something post.
Always,
always do that.
Go watch a video, like the
cool
video, leave a comment. It really you know, and there's I'll give you the peek behind the curtain. This is why every YouTuber says this, right? It helps the algorithm, da 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 da. It is so true. It really is. But what they don't tell you, and this is the secret I will share with you, when you like a video, when you comment a video, that engagement not only helps as far as the algorithm and YouTube and all of that kind of stuff, it is an immediate dopamine hit for the YouTuber. You are encouraging the person whose show you're watching. So if you enjoy my content and you want to encourage me, that's what you do. You know, that's just how it is.
I'm checking out Pacific. I'm checking out the channel right now. He
and
has
do the same thing for Mike over on Pacific 414. And do the same thing for Soundtracks with Birdman. You know, chances are you're already subscribed to Soundtracks with Birdman because we mention them every week. Because
Mike was playing
I do the same thing. You know, anytime I see somebody has a new channel, and they want support, it's like, all right, I'll blast it across social media, and I'll give you any support I can. If I see that somebody's, close to 100 subscribers, I'll put out a tweet saying, please subscribe to so-and-so. They're close. Let's get them there.
No, absolutely right. I mean, that makes me wonder, where am I at?
You are at 458.
I'm at 458. If I could get two more, that would put me to 460. That would give me two more subscriptions. Would give me that, that round number. So, if there's anyone in the chat here who isn't subscribed to me, I'd super appreciate if you'd subscribe. You
can make another, YouTube name.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Although I'm sure, I assume Carton the Klingon Cleric is probably subscribed to Troy Pacelli. I don't know if that's true. I might have to check that out when I sober up, but we'll see.
I was checking out Mike's channel. He was playing Streets of Rage 4. I did a Culture Fortress on that years.
Yes, you did. So on Tuesdays once a month over on Mr. Matchstick's channel, Aged Boomer and I are regular guests, and there's a show called Culture Fortress where we talk about either older things that we enjoyed as geeks, from the time that we were growing up, or modern things that we enjoy that we think people would like because they haven't been affected by some kind of identity politics.
Yeah, basically, I
focusing on the positive.
Yeah, because we delve into the negative sometimes with how our favorite properties have turned out lately. But with this, it's more about pointing out, hey, it's not everything's bad. You can go watch this old thing. You can try something new like Streets of Rage 4 or something else, and it's a neat little
For example, I had done a Culture Fortress on Shazam and the the Secrets of ISIS. Because no one had heard about. I did one on the $6 Million Man. I did one on the Bill. Did I do one on the Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, Incredible Hulk?
I think you did, but I have to double check.
I assume that I probably did.
I know you did Bionic Man. I think you did that. You haven't done Battlestar Galactica yet, though. The old show. That might be something.
Are you sure? Because I know I did Buck Rogers. So basically, all the stuff from the '70s that you kids wouldn't know about, I've pretty much kind of covered. But
it might get them interested if they start watching it.
That is exactly our hope, and that's why we do what we do. But that's
Troy has a way of telling a story about a program or a movie that makes you want to watch it. Tell them the Heartbreak Ridge.
Yeah, I'll tell them the Heartbreak Ridge story. So. Everybody here probably already knows this story, but this is really for you, Mike. One of the things that I've been into since before Nanette and I met was Dungeons and Dragons, and I had the regular Dungeons and Dragons group in college. And one of the, when you have a group of friends, you have a tendency to have a lot of in-jokes that come out. Well, they had some in-jokes and quotes that they would make and stuff that I didn't understand and wasn't following. And I was like, I don't get that reference. And the things that they were saying was like, how Dungeons and Dragons goes, if we go into this combat and we're not ready, we just get dead. And they did that like almost every week. And I'm like, I know you must be referencing something. What is that from? They said, that's Heartbreak Ridge. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You've never seen Heartbreak Ridge? No, I've never seen Heartbreak Ridge. So one week, instead of playing Dungeons and Dragons, we sat down and watched Heartbreak Ridge together. It was my first time. And it was flippin' brilliant. By the way, I have a rewatch here on the channel. So if you want to get your own copy of Heartbreak Ridge and watch it, with my commentary and the stream's commentary, check it out. But
I definitely will.
Yeah, but I come home and then there's like, so how was the game? I said, well, we didn't actually play. She says, well, what the hell did you do? I said, I saw this great movie called Heartbreak Ridge. It's a Clint Eastwood film. She's like, I'm not that big a Clint Eastwood fan. I'm like, I didn't really think I was either. And then I started telling her the story about what this was about. And I kind of ended up focusing more on, there's a lot of humor and a lot of, if you've seen Heartbreak Ridge, you get it. It's a serious film, but there's, military humor in it. If you were in the military or if you're, a supporter of the military or whatever, you kind of, I get this. This is kind of funny, And I was telling her about the story and she's like, man, that sounds like a movie I'd really like to see. I said, really? Okay, yeah, we'll get that movie and you could, and she loved it. But she admits to this day, it's a movie that she probably wouldn't have liked if she had just seen it on her own. But because I told her the story and got her interested, kind of the same way I came to it. Here
he was telling me that, it's basically a story about a bunch of guys in the military. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, never mind. I'm not really interested. Until he told me.
Yeah, until I explained, no, it's about a guy who was, hardline military who's called back because the platoon's a bunch of screw-ups and they, and...
Yeah, it's like, I think the part that really got me to want to see it is when he started talking about the bit where the guys are all, he tells the guys to all wear the same shirt as...
yeah.
And they're all like, but Gunny, we are wearing the same shirt.
Same as me. And they realized, well, how are we supposed to know what shirt you're going to wear? You're Marines. You overcome. You adapt. And they find a way. And that is... I would recommend that film to anyone of the... What is it? Gen X, Gen Z, whatever the kids are these days.
Gen Z, I believe, are the kids. I could be wrong. But yeah.
Check out this movie because, you complain about what's unfair and all this bullshit. Be like Gunny Highway. Overcome. Adapt. That's what life is about. Look, I grew up in the 70s, and I remember women's lib. I remember the Equal Rights Amendment. I remember...
The Ford Pinto?
I remember Ford Pinto.
I'm sorry.
No, but what I was going to say is I remember, handicapped people talking about, look, I don't want to be treated any different, okay? And how, if you were underprivileged, if you were a minority group or whatever, you had to work so much harder to be treated equally and blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, look, I want to rest on the fact that I'm a minority group. I don't want to work harder. I want to be able to skate by on the fact that I'm a minority group to be treated equally. And it's like, you know what? Screw you. Okay? Every single person who wants to succeed in this world needs to do better than the other guy. I don't care if you are a minority group, if you're a woman, if you are a white male. There is somebody that is doing better than you that you need to work harder than and succeed.
But it's hard.
Life is hard, yes. Shocker, surprise. Okay, your socialist utopia is fucking bullshit fantasy. Okay? That's not the way the real world works. Okay? Real socialism has never been tried. Real socialism doesn't fucking exist. It's a fantasy. It's I know. Sorry guys, that's just
Don't ever get him started in politics.
Sometimes I get off on the politics. It happens,
But to be fair, though, even in Star Trek, though, you had to strive to get positions, right? In Federation, right?
You had to perform your duty.
Yeah.
And that's true in every club that we were in, whether it was the Star Trek, the Starfleet, or it was the Klingons. How did you succeed? You succeeded.
You killed your predecessor.
No. in the real world, it was who was contributing the most to the club. If you brought more people in, or you came up with great ideas to make it more engaging, or whatever, those were the people that succeeded. Yes, in the short term, there was some nepotism and friendships and that kind of stuff, the whole political thing. But if that was the focus of the club, they tended to fall apart. And that's why the Federation group that we were in fell apart. That's why the Klingons are still going to this day, because they value the people that actually contribute, But Skipper Kenner, again, let me remind everyone he's a fireman. He says, my profession isn't real big on the whole individual privilege thing. You say that now, but we used to be able to say that about the military. And that's no longer true in the military. It'll come to you guys too if things don't change. That's just the way it is. Eventually you will have people at your firehouse that hold up a little card that says, I feel oppressed and you need to, change these circumstances. The fire, is more brutal to my skin tone than someone else's, or my gender or my preference. Therefore, I deserve special treatment. It's not about equality. It's now about equity. Okay? Just saying. The world has changed for us. We're not really boomers, even though we call ourselves boomers. But
I've been watching an anime called Fire Force.
Called which again?
Fire Force.
Fire Force. Okay.
It's like a superhero fire force, and they're having to go. I guess people turn into these walking flame monsters, and they have to stop them. And some of the people in the fire force also have superpowers. It's interesting. It's like on an alternative Earth sort of thing, but it's like firefighters, but they have the whole.
See, Mike, he's our resident anime guy. I don't know squat about anime, so it's a good thing he's my partner here. But anyway.
But again, like I said before, I don't know a lot about anime. I've only been watching it for a year, but from what I've seen, I have found animes that I've really enjoyed, and other animes, nope, I don't need to finish this one off. I've watched a few seconds of this one, and I'm turning it off.
I'll bet that Stephen Otten has spent like the past hour and a half trying to find this channel. I mean, Kartan the Klingon Cleric.
I could have put it on there.
I didn't think about it, but I super appreciate that, man. You are good people, and like I said, I'm really close to getting to that 100 mark. If you just go subscribe, just so that I can get the custom URL, so that it could be at Kartan the Klingon Cleric, something simple instead of this crazy. What is it? UCKHBASTKO2. Oh my gosh, But we got Stephen Otten over the 100 subscriber mark. If we can get Klingon Cleric over the 100 mark, that would be super great. I've only got like 4 videos over there, but Netter's working on getting us new phones so that I can
and a new camera.
With a new camera.
Cool.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, someone recommended one that it's not just a camera, but it's also a video camera, and so I figure try that out. The one I'm looking at.
Guys, I might be making some new content that's not just streaming because of Netter, because she's awesome that way. And
that's why you married me.
Well, it's one of the reasons. It's also because you're hot.
It was my legs.
Well, it was your legs initially. That was the first thing that got my attention because you had legs for days. And for a short person, that's pretty amazing. So real quick, I want to say hi to... Is there a way to pronounce this, or do I just have to spell it out?
JPRPH1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm, spelling out a nasty word. I'm not. It's just, I wouldn't even imagine how I could pronounce that without vowels. Jipperf1? Jipperf1?
You've just now canceled yourself.
Possibly.
That's an insult.
They're reading about it right now.
Possibly. Well, no, I figure if I don't see vowels, I assume, I don't know, Jewish. I that's what I figure.
Klingon.
Well, no, Klingons would be more and ha, but yes, I suppose.
So they're missing the
Which is actually kind of Jewish too, now that I think about it. So
it's like Jewish, German.
There was a whole episode of Frasier where someone pulled a prank on him. He thought he memorized a Jewish prayer or something. He thought it was Jewish. It was actually Klingon. Yeah. I didn't actually watch the show avidly. And this was many years before I started studying Klingon. So I've never taken the time to see if it was real Klingon and what it meant. That might actually be kind of fun.
Now I'm reminded of that scene from Spaceballs where Yogurt is making, he's like reading from the scroll, and it's like he's like his voice is, and then he says, "Oh, is that some ancient language?" No, I was just clearing my throat. Was he making fun of like Yiddish or something? Was that what that was?
Probably. Yeah. And yeah, if you're doing a show in English, yeah, you're gonna. That's the obvious joke. But yeah, I honestly have gotten to the point where people come to me and ask me, how do you say such and such in Klingon? And I'm like, look, I'll tell you, I'll give you a fish, but I'm also going to teach you how to fish. So I'll translate that for you. But here's all the links that you want to use going forward to figure out how to say these things on your own. Just saying. But. And I am not fluent. I understand the grammar well enough that if I, have the time to translate, I can probably do it, grammatically correctly. But I'm still at the point where I have to memorize, phrases if I want to be able to say them in a reasonable way. In fact, at some point, I'm going to paint up this Klingon skull here, and I want to memorize the what is it? Alas poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio, because I have the entire Hamlet in Klingon, I just... In the original Klingon, yes. So I totally could memorize it. I just haven't gotten quite around to doing that. But eventually I will, and maybe I'll, get, into my bumps and everything, and I'll record it just to have some more content on Kartan the Klingon Cleric, because you guys all subscribed to me today, and I appreciate that. I'm sorry, Mike. What were you going to say?
Well, when it comes to the Klingon language, the only two words I really focused on was kapla and patak.
Yeah. So yeah, you can get pretty far with those. Hapla is success. It's a hello, goodbye, and really a well wish, and or like a hooray, Kapla, and patach. You've got to at least know one curse, one insult. If they used to have them every year here in the Chicago area. Now they're trying to move them around the country. But the Klingon Language Institute has an annual Kep-A, which is their big meeting. That's a literal translation. And it's a bunch of Klingon language enthusiasts coming together. And it's kind of a convention for, linguists, And the most common guest is, of course, Dr. Mark Okrand, who created the language. And every year he puts out a few new words that become canonical. Sometimes it's, when the year before Discovery launched, he published a whole list of words that he had to come up with specifically because the Kurtzman Trek people said, we need these words. We need all of this translated into Klingon. And some of them were words that didn't exist, so he had to create vocabulary. So we got a big influx of words into the Klingon language. But he does a handful of words every year that Klingon enthusiasts will say, hey, we need a way to say such and such. And he'll
tell them the story.
Yeah. For example, there was 1 year at the Kep-A where someone was talking about the fact that in a conlang, constructed language like Klingon, it's good to not create your own words because they're not going to catch on. You want to stick to the canon of the language. So there are some times you're going to run into words that don't have an actual translation because that word hasn't been created yet. So steer clear or get real original with how you say things. Find a way to describe what you're saying without creating a new word for it. And the example that was given was, at the time, there was no word for armpit. There was just... When would anyone ever need to say armpit in Klingon, right? In a script or in common usage. It never come up, right? So if you decide that you want to use the word it, a glottal stop I, glottal stop for the underarm, you're creating a word and no one's going to know that word. And it was said 1 year at the Kep-A, and then the following year it came up again. Dr. Okrand was there, the creator of the language, and the story was being recounted to him from the previous year. And so someone said, so what is the Klingon word for underarm? And the speaker turned to Dr. Okrand and goes, I don't know, what is the Klingon word for underarm? And he goes, eh? Okay, it was just canonized. And boom, the word eh became armpit in Klingon. Those kinds of things happen. And there are Klingon language enthusiasts that every year there's a competition, language competition. Demonstrate their abilities. If you win, you get to request a certain number of words of Dr. Okrand, and he canonizes those words into the Klingon language. They go into the Klingon Language Institute's omnibus of words. They, if anything like that comes up during the Kep-A, They do the same thing. And how did I get off on this topic? I meant to focus on Mike and Pacific 414. How did I start talking about the Klingon language? This is.
Because you went to Star Trek.
I'm talking like this is my show or something, for crying out loud. This is supposed to be Pacific 414's show.
I've enjoyed it because I enjoy the Klingons in general. So, hearing about these conventions and get-togethers where people actually are speaking Klingon, and I like it. I can't say
this is
else.
where. So Skipper Kenner brings up, the confluence of fandoms, right? So we do the Klingon cosplay. We do the whole, forehead thing and the teeth and the armor and all of that kind of stuff. We do. If you've ever been to a convention and you've done cosplay, very elaborate cosplay, by Sunday you don't give a fuck anymore, so you don't want to do it. The great thing about being a Klingon is TOS Sunday. It's like, I don't give a fuck Sunday, so I'm going to be a TOS Klingon. No forehead, and I'm just going to put on all black with the gold, leme, and
Our thing
call
was
it a
for,
day.
Amigo meet, though.
I'm getting to that. But then the confluence was, I also happen to be a big Mego fan. The action figures, you see some of them behind me over here. 9-inch action figures from the 70s. They did DC Comics, Marvel, the Universal Monsters, Action Jackson, which was like their version of G.I. Joe. What was the Planet of the Apes? I can't remember what else. Starsky and Hutch. Just about any TV show in the 70s probably had a Mego action figure for them. The Waltons had Mego figures. It was crazy. And they did Star Trek. Some of my first Megos were, in fact, I got a Spock Mego action figure before I even had any interest in Star Trek. It was one year for Christmas. But the Klingon was a very generic figure with a goatee, and he had it was basically the TOS uniform but different colors, because one of the things about Mego was they tended to reuse costumes and heads as much as possible. They went as cheap as they possibly could. So the vest that they wore was the Planet of the Apes vest, and the boots, and the boots that they wore was the boots from their pirate line, and gosh, I don't even remember what all, but it was a very distinct look, and it was like browns and burgundies were the color scheme. Whereas, if you remember, the Klingons in the original series were grays and golds and black, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these Mego figures were a very distinct color. And yet there was a third TOS era Klingon look. If you ever saw Star Trek, the animated series, there was a lot of purples in that. Yep. But it was very close and very similar to the Mego style. So when Netter and I were going to Mego Meet one year, another local convention of enthusiasts of Mego action figures, it's not really a big costuming event like Comic-Con and so many other things are. But I said to Nanette, I'm like, why don't we go in costume? I think it would be neat. And she says, well, what costume would we do? I said,
and I'm about to drop the link in your MeetWe for what we look like.
Oh, Netter's going to drop some links so you guys can see the pictures.
I don't know if I can drop the picture in there. I will try. Otherwise, I'll put it in your MeetWe and you can pull it up and show them.
Oh, okay. That's what I'll do. And then I'll share the screen and do that thing.
Drop one, but ignore that one. I'm giving you a better one.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, give me just a second. So my idea was, look, we'll do the Mego Klingon. We'll dress up as basically as action figures, and anyone at Mego Meet would get it, but they would also, know us as the Klingons, because that's kind of what we did. So
Don't show that one. I've got the better one.
okay, and I'll share it in just a second. But and this was just something we whipped up because it was easy to do. But yeah, I mean, oh yeah, this is actually from Mego Meat. Let me
The one I just dropped.
yeah, let me real quick bring this up. What do I gotta do? I gotta come on. Oh, I guess I gotta bring all of MeWe up here, and I gotta go big, and I gotta zoom in, and I gotta share my screen. How do I do that? Share screen. There we go. And so that's Netter and I at Mego Meat, dressed as the Mego Klingons. We literally bought some cheap, Party City type phasers and spray painted them red, because that's what Mego did. The villains got red, red colored phasers, and the Federation people got blue ones. The communicator was just this little box. Netter got us red otter boxes for our phones. Yeah. I guess I would have to go.
No, you can still see it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Didn't mean to remove myself from the stream. How do I do this? I'll just go big, and yeah, this is an original Mego figure. So you kind of get the idea. We were just going basically the same thing. Brown shirt, brown. What do you call it? Turtleneck, brown pants, knee-high boots, and you'll notice the communicator. I was like, oh my gosh. All we got to do is put our phones in an otter box. And I, fashioned something to put on the belt, and, boom, Bob's your uncle.
I can't see that picture anymore.
Yeah, I know. But let me go back to what I was doing there. So there we go.
That's pretty cool, because I watched the episode of The Toys That Made Us when they were talking about, Star Trek toy lines.
Yep. So yeah, that's the Klingon costume. Yeah, we put that together, and real quick, regular contributor to the stream, Keely Chow stopped in. Hey, Keely, good to see you. Glad you stopped by. We're here with Mike of Pacific 414, and of course, his link's going to be in the description below. Make sure you right click on him, open up another screen, and subscribe to him, because he's good people. He is a Cubs fan, so he's got some Chicago Cubs baseball content over there, but he's a big pop culture guy. If you like what I do, you're gonna like what Mike does. It's good stuff over there.
And speaking of the Cubs, can I give an update on tonight's game?
Please do. I have no idea what's going on.
All right, so tonight up in Milwaukee, the Cubs beat the Milwaukee Brewers by a score of 4-3 in 10 innings, thanks to a pair of 2-run home runs by Ian Happ. Ian Happ hit a 2-run home run to right field in the top of the 7th against Freddie Peralta, who had a no-hitter going into the inning, but he ended up giving up an unearned run to the Cubs via an error in that very same inning when Ian Happ hit that 2-run home run. And then in the top of the 10th, Ian Happ came up again with his second 2-run home run of the night. And the Cubs again win this game by a final score of 4-3, with Sean Newcomb getting the win for the Cubs, Devin Williams taking the loss for the Brewers, and Miguel Rodriguez getting the save for the Cubs, his first of the 2022 season.
There you go.
That's pretty much how I would do it on the box score too.
There you go. And I would have just said, "Hey, Cubs are awesome. Screw those damn Brewers." That's all I know.
That's a nice name for a team, though. Brewers, huh?
Well, Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, it's the whole. That's why those of you that are old enough to know the 70s, there was there was two shows. There was Happy Days and there was Laverne and Shirley, both set in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Laverne and Shirley, of course, worked at a fictitious brewery because, Milwaukee was known as, brewery city, right? So, and Happy Days, also Amigo property or license. You could get a Fonzie action figure that was a unique body style because he had flip-up thumbs, and if there was a little button on his back to make his hands go like this, and he'd go, "Hey," because he was cool.
Question though, did he jump the shark?
Well, no, but what you could do is you could take your Happy Days Fonzie action figure and get the water skis from Action Jackson and the shark from the World's Greatest Superheroes Aquaman figure 2-pack with the shark, and you could reenact that if you so chose. And if you really wanted to think outside the box, and you wanted to put him on a motorcycle, I always use the Evel Knievel motorcycle with my Arthur Fonzarelli figure. Just saying. That was the 70s and toys for me. My toys were very different from those of you that grew up with
He-Man.
He-Man and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and
Transformers and all that. Right?
Even the later G.I. Joes. I was out of those kind of toys by the time the 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joes came along. I was so steeped in the Star Wars 3 3/4 figures that by the time G.I. Joe came along, it's like I can't. I need to focus on Star Wars because I knew my mom wouldn't let me expand into a whole other branch of toys.
Troy, I'm curious. Did you? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
That's what was so great growing up in the 80s with, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Thundercats, even GoBots, even though I know some people, a particular guest on my channel all the time loves to go on a rant about GoBots. But
GoBots were the off-market Transformers, right?
Oh, there would be fights on the playground about that. I remember that. Yeah, that was they're the cousins of the transport. No, they're not.
No, they're not. Completely different universe. Absolutely.
I know.
But that's actually a video I might have to do is the scaling thing and how in different eras you have different scales of figures that are popular, and why do they tend to trend together? Well, because in the early 70s, you wanted 12-inch action figures because G.I. Joe and Barbie were 12-inch. So when $6 Million Man came out, when they had some superheroes and whatnot, all the offshoots and mock-ups, the bootleg versions, they all had to be 12-inch, right? But then the Carter administration happened, and gas prices went up, and there were embargoes, and there were long lines at the gas stations paying twice as much as you did the year before. Gee, this sounds fucking familiar, doesn't it? Anyway, gas prices shoot up, so plastic prices go up. Remember, plastic is a petroleum product. So if gas prices go up, your action figures get more expensive. So that's why they suddenly had to come down in scale, and it started by coming down from 12-inch to 9-inch. And that's where Mego blazed the trail with their greatest superheroes, and they just bought every cheap license they could, whether it was Emergency and they put out the fireman figures, or they were putting out DC and Marvel. They had both DC and Marvel at the time because no one else was marketing action figures for them. It wasn't like it is today. So you could have a 9-inch Superman and a 9-inch Spider-Man, and they could fight the Goblin and the Joker together if they wanted to. But then it was only a few short years later, 1974 576, they decided to go even smaller, and a company called Kenner came out with Star Wars action figures at 3 3/4, and the 9-inch went away, and everything became 3 3/4-inch figures, and it was the Mask figures, it was G.I. Joe, everything in 3 3/4, and now we're starting to see some 6 and 9-inch figures coming back, but I think we're going to start moving back to the 3 3/4-inch as long as Bidenomics is happening. Just saying, we're living through the 70s again, people. I see it all happening again.
Gas lines?
Well, we're seeing crazy, ridiculous gas prices, right? I mean, it's gone up $2 in the past 2 years. It's like, guys, you don't understand. You stupid ass environmentalists who think, oh yeah, well we'll just get off of greenhouse gas emitting fuels by doing this, that, and the other. No, that's not how it works, you dumbass. Because you make gas more expensive, that makes fucking everything more expensive. Again, it's the same kind of magical thinking that the socialists go through. I want this, so let's just do this. We'll make it simple. It is not that simple. It doesn't work that way, dumbasses.
We were talking a bit a while back about the fact that they're removing the see-through panels on the action figures now. Remember?
Yeah, I've noticed on Hasbro's Transformers figures, you no longer had that see-through panel. It's just the box with the artwork on it.
Yep, the same thing has happened, I believe, with the Marvel figures and the G.I. Joe figures. It hasn't yet happened with the Star Wars figures. And the Star Wars fans are very on edge about it because there's a big contingent of the Star Wars market is their vintage collection, which is in the style of the original 70s figures, the same card back and bubble, and it'll be the same figure from the 70s, but with more articulation, better sculpt, photorealistic faces, and so forth. Some figures that existed before, some that are brand new, especially from the new shows and whatnot. And they're also doing a retro line, which uses the same schema with the card back and the card, and the figures are 5 points of articulation just like back in the 70s. Those of you that are into those Super 7 reaction figures, get the shtick, the idea. And we're seeing the trend, and a lot of fans are like, if that happens, we will not be buying vintage collection anymore. Others are saying, well, I will continue to buy, but I'll only buy half as many because I bought 2 figures, one to keep in package, one to open. Now I will only buy the one to open because what's the point of, the packaged? And that's another concern that a lot of toy buyers are saying about Hasbro. Wait a minute. If I buy this thing off the peg, I don't know until I get it home and open it if it's, got a derpy eye because it was painted badly, or the leg is broken, or, it's missing something. And sure enough, I don't even buy in the stores anymore because the Target by me never has jack shit. So I buy directly from Hasbro, and I got a shipment of the 4 Death Squad troopers, the black figures from Mandalorian, and I think Rogue One too. And the 4 figures come in a very plain white box. You open it up, and they're wrapped up in like a wax paper type of dealio. Of the 4 figures, one of them had a broken leg. Now, kudos to their customer service. They're sending me 4 more figures. I'm getting 4 figures for free, to replace the one that was broken. So, yay me. But if I was buying in the store, I'd get all the way home, and I'd have the option of looking and going, "Oh, that toy's broken. I'll take the next one on the peg," or whatever. maybe if I'm a good, patron of the store, I'd take the broken one up to the service desk and say, hey, you might want to send this back to Hasbro. It's broken. Can't do that, until I get home, open it, then take it back, then they send it home. It's just a whole mess. So they think they're saving the environment by getting rid of plastic. Really? Yeah, no, because I'm burning that's more oil going home and coming back and returning the damn friggin' figure, or sending it back by mail. The postal service got to burn oil too to get the thing back to you, you dumbasses.
Maybe.
You're not saving anything. They don't care, though. Hasbro doesn't really care about the environment. They're just doing it for marketing reasons. It's the dumbass environmentalists that are pushing this bullshit.
Maybe this is to hide some of their botched things, figuring people aren't going to return them. Like they'll be like, oh, they'll just buy another one if it's messed up. They're not going to go to the trouble of returning a busted action.
Unfortunately, some people... You're right. Some people will do that. But I think long term, no. People get pissed. This is why NECA is actually, and you won't see this in many outlets, NECA's on a very razor thin margin because they are high end action figures. They cost a lot, but their quality is fucking shit. They are constantly selling broken crap, or they break when you try to pose them. Actually, the cheap Mego figures are actually better figures than the same scale NECA figures that cost twice as much. I'm just saying.
I was watching a YouTuber who had just gotten a package. It was a NECA figure, and the figure broke because he was trying to take it out of the packaging and it wouldn't come out.
Just trying to take it out of the fucking package, yeah. In fact, I was watching Retro Blasting. Retro Blasting was saying, yeah, with the NECA figures, when you take them out of the package, you got to be really careful. And then you got to boil them. You got to dip them in boiling water to loosen those joints. Because what happens with the NECA figures, because they're shipping in on, cargo steamers overseas from China and whatnot, they sit out in these tankers in high heats, and all the joints become fused. And if you just go and try to bend them, they break. So you got to literally, dip them in, boiling water to loosen them. And it's like, that's fucking bullshit. Because a kid is not going to do that. A collector will do that. Children will not do that. They will try to bend the position of the knee, because there's a knee joint and it breaks, and then they cry. And then they get pissed, and the parents get pissed, and they send it back, and you send them the replacement, and they never buy another fucking figure because the kid's now pissed.
I heard, though, if you have a C-3PO figure like that, you have to dip it in an hot oil bath. I'm just kidding. On that point, though, that brings up a good point. Hasbro, for a long time, we all remember from the 70s, C-3PO had a nice vac metallized, shiny coat, right? So he looked like the figure. But then, like in the 90s, in 92, the Power of the Force figures continued to do that. And then they stopped doing it. And he was just painted like a gold paint color. Dull, crappy. And the fans were not happy. And just this season, the newest C-3PO figures are coming out vac metallized again. So, something to watch for. Oh, Skipper Kenner said good night. He's turning in.
Oh, take care, Fuff. You have a great one. And, by the way, Skipper Kenner, I do need to touch base with you. I figure you're a fireman, and I know you've got a propane powered barbecue grill, so I'm assuming you know a thing or two about regulators. I'm going to need to pick your brain a little bit, because before winter sets in, I am planning to get a home forge, and they don't come with a regulator, and I need some help picking out the regulator. Kind of show me how to use it so that I can start casting things in aluminum. I'm going to use my aluminum cans and start making molds and creating my own, props and pins and doodahs out of aluminum. So,
pretty cool.
Something to look forward to, yeah. Which is a perfect timing because we're just talking about vac metallizing and stuff. If I wanted to make a custom R2D2 head, I could cast it, in concrete or whatever, and then pour molten aluminum into it and make myself an aluminum R2D2 head for my action figures. It's one of the things I'm thinking about. Want to make the doodahs for my Klingon uniform? Do it out of aluminum. And I'm planning to do a whole line of strips, slips, and bars of latinum out of aluminum.
So you're looking at the business opportunity here.
Exactly.
That's me doing my Ferengi voice.
Oh,
that's exactly right. And I've also got 3D models of Klingon Darsex, so I can also make Klingon coins as well.
Nice.
I always thought that if I was to ever put together my own fan convention, I would start I would have one table set aside as a currency exchange where you could trade in, real world dollars for Darsex and Latinum and Federation credits and things like that. Whatever, from Star Trek. And there'd be a currency exchange. And really all it would be like when you go to the carnival and you buy tickets to, do things and whatnot. And you could use it as currency within the convention or amongst yourselves or whatever. And it's also if you just want to buy the currency to have it, It was a thought, but I don't see myself ever doing it. I mean, all my plans to do a fan convention kind of went out the window when COVID hit. And so who knows if I'll ever get around to doing that sometime in the future.
Oh, you never know. You never know what's around the corner.
I won't say never, but right now I'm not real focused on that idea. That's another reason why I kind of got into the whole YouTube thing. It's my way of doing, getting content out there and sharing my interests that wasn't expensive, wasn't a convention, didn't require you to leave your house because we were all locked down for the past 2 years. I think that's how a lot of YouTube channels started, was because of the lockdowns. Just guessing.
Yeah, because 2 years ago you saw all these different videos popping up, all these different personalities pop up, and some hit it off right away, and some it took some time.
Yep. And one of the things that I was talking to Nanette about this the other day, I've had some YouTubers that I respect a great deal, bigger channels, monetized channels, and they've been coming to me and suggesting, you really want to grow your channel. What you got to do is you got to start doing videos about this. You got to start doing videos about that. First, it was about. You got to do some videos about Brie Larson. You piss off people about Brie Larson, you'll grow your channel. A lot of people hate Brie Larson. Okay, then it was Comicsgate, and then it was now it's the Lord of the Rings, right? You shit all over the Rings of Power. You'll gain. Oh, do some reviews of Indian Bollywood, films. They'll grow your channel. I'm sorry, that's not what I'm about. If that's what I got to do to grow my channel, I don't want to do this YouTube thing. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm enjoying, hell, I just enjoy hanging out with people like you, Mike, building up your channel, getting your, name out there, and, like PJ from Orville Nation always says, we grow together. Right. And highlighting other channels. Roger Ryan Athay, who does 3 videos a friggin' day about a different YouTuber, his thoughts on Pacific 414, a rising star.
He actually did a rising star video on me.
I am not surprised. I'm sure he did. He did one on me. And Netter just said that he just did one on her, which had to have been, in the last 24 hours? Because
the last week. Remember, you showed it to me last week.
That's right. That's right. He did one on Netter last week. And he's going to be doing one. I suggested my guest from last week, Fanzine, Greg. I said, you should really do one on him. So he's got that in the pipeline. That's going to be coming up real soon.
Cool.
But it's really cool to hear another YouTuber say, hey, this guy's great. Check him out. And, someone does that for me, you better believe I'm going to mention him on my channel, suggest that people subscribe to him and so forth, because it's like, hey, this guy built me up. He must be okay. Go check out Ryan Roger Athe. Go check out, this other YouTuber and so forth.
It's weird because when I saw the Twitter post, and I saw my Twitter handle, which is the same as my YouTube channel.
Yep.
In there, I'm thinking, he's making one about me?
I did the same thing. Yeah, I had no knowledge in advance that he was doing this, and I'm like, someone did a video about me, and I got to admit, at the time I didn't even know Roger, and I was like, what's this all about? And I look, and my first thing I thought is, okay, this guy's some kind of a troll. He's pissed off about my politics or something. Oh, he's British, so he must be some kind of a big old lib. He hates me.
Oh.
And I get there, and it's like a really good video, really building me up. I'm like, damn, he's saying some really nice things about me. And then I came to realize he'd actually been following me for a while on Twitter and liking a lot of my comments. He was actually a big conservative, and he really liked following me for my political stuff on Twitter. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I had him on as a guest, and just the same way that I did that video at the beginning with Harry Carey and so forth. I did a little video that was like I used his formula for the rising stars, but I did one for him. And he's like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And Mutual Admiration Society. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. And deleted scenes. Of course, I knew he would do this. He's in there sharing the link to Roger's channel, and deleted scenes. He was another one. He's been a lurker in everybody's chat for the longest time. Midnight's Edge and Doomcock and Over Here and whatnot. And he's just great people. And I said to him, look, you really need to start a channel. Just for the hell of it, just share whatever you feel like. And after he started to get, because, people knew him as deleted scenes and stuff, started subscribing to him. And as he was getting close to 100, I'm like, dude, I keep sharing your link. We got to get you to 100, because once you get to 100, you can make that custom URL that'll be like at deleted scenes. Makes it a lot easier to share. And he got to 100. He got a little over 100. But you know how the YouTube works. You get to a certain point, and then you lose. You get like 5 subscriptions, and you lose them again. It's like, fuck, man. And so
if you subscribe to someone, watch 5 minutes of the video, or just simply keep another tab open, do play all, so that YouTube knows you're not a bot. Then the sub stays. Yeah,
that's the downside. You try to help people out. You subscribe to them. But if you don't subscribe and watch some of their videos, it kind of messes with YouTube, and YouTube's like, you don't really want to follow them. You're a bot, or whatever, and they take it away. And it's really discouraging to someone who's just gotten to a certain point, and then you lose the subscriptions. But we finally got deleted scenes over 100, so now he's at deleted scenes, so.
Yeah, and I've had Steven on my channel before doing Pop Talk, and he does great things over with Gary and Keith over on Pop Culture Minefield.
Yep. I've seen that. Yeah, he's a regular over there. I joke with him because I say he looks and sounds like David Lynch. He really does. And that works out perfectly because he and I are both big David Lynch fans. So I don't know if he wants to take it as a compliment. I think it's kind of neutral. I mean, David Lynch is David Lynch, and I like David Lynch.
Does videos every day. He does a weather report.
I've heard that. Yeah, I haven't gotten over to his channel. He's a crazy guy. He's a lot of fun. He really is. Anybody that says they really understand David Lynch isn't paying attention to David Lynch. They don't get it. Once you think you understand David Lynch, you've missed the point. Because with David Lynch, it's about the journey. It's not the destination. And in fact, I had deleted scenes on I've had them on a bunch of times, but on one time at least to speak specifically about David Lynch, and we talked about that exactly. So anyway, we're at the 2-hour mark, and I should probably start winding this down, just because I'm starting to lose my buzz, but that also means that I'm starting to get a little sleepy. So Mike, what do you have coming up in the next week?
What I have come up in the next week is, of course, Sunday morning edition of Pacific Forum for Pop Talk at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then, of course, this Tuesday, it's going to be a special live stream because something that I'm been looking forward to coming out is coming out on Tuesday. And that's the Cowabunga collection of 13 classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games.
Oh, that sounds like that's right up your alley, Boomer.
Yes, that's coming out on Tuesday. I may be picking that up myself. I was going to wait, maybe drop in around Christmas. I don't think I can wait till Christmas. I think I want to get it now. No, big fan of those. I got Turtle Time.
Excuse me.
Came out from my Super Nintendo, and my brother had the Genesis, so he got games I didn't get, and they're on this collection. It even has like a very rare NES game, Teenage Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for the NES, which is a very rare NES game, so it's neat they included that for those of us who can't afford to buy the cartridge. So yeah, looking forward to that. But yeah.
Don't know what you guys are talking about, but I knew you guys would get along well.
You know what we're talking about because you played the game at your college.
I played the arcade game, and that's all I knew.
Collection. That
one game. I didn't know there was umpteen million other games out there.
Yes, but they're sort of inspired by that one, and that even the main arcade game is in this collection. It's not just the console games.
Yeah, that's cool.
In there too.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's got the original arcade game. It's got Turtles in Time, the arcade version. And with those games being on this collection, you can have 4 people online at the same time playing the game.
That's pretty damn cool.
You're not, surrounded by each other and the cabinet trying to fight for elbow room to.
I remember those days. Yes. So, have you played one of those? I mean, it's still the 4-person side scroller.
Yeah, it's going to be the original games. They're going to be all in one neat little package.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
You can get it on Steam if you want to get it on Steam.
Yeah, I have a Steam account. I'm ready to buy it as soon as it drops on Tuesday.
I just might because I do have a Steam account. I could do that. Well, actually, I have a Steam account. Age of Boomer knows that because he bought me some games.
That's right. I bought him a Steam game. Are you familiar with the old NES games, Shadowgate, The Uninvited, and Deja Vu?
Oh yeah,
games? They're in a little collection for you can get it on computer and on PlayStation and Xbox. You get a collection of those old games, and you can actually use a mouse now with them too, which is kind of funny because they started out as Macintosh games, which I'm assuming you used the mouse with, and then they got ported to the NES where they had to change the interface so it worked better on a console. But now you can play the NES games with a mouse, so it's kind of funny how things come full circle. But yeah, I got those for Troy. He was playing. You said you were playing the Gumshoe one, I guess. Deja Vu.
Yes, I was. That was incredibly annoying, but in a good way.
One of the harder ones, yeah.
Yes.
The collection, yeah.
that was actually kind of fun. And the thing about doing it on my PC, I can just put it up on the big screen, and Netter can kind of watch and laugh and make suggestions.
With you, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, look in the cabinet. There's got to be something in the cabinet. Okay,
watch out for the lady in the red dress who it's not mentioned in the NES game, but in the PC version, she's a prostitute.
Well, I got to be honest with you. That's the kind of thing I would have guessed. I probably would have known that going into it. But David Lynch Theater. Okay, well, thank you for that. Deleted scenes. I didn't know about.
Check that out. Yeah.
But so yeah, that is that's what you've got coming up. Was there anything else, Mike? Did you get through the whole week?
Well, it's not necessarily for this upcoming week, but I do have a stream coming up on September 8th to celebrate the 56th anniversary of Star Trek, and we're going to be talking about the original series to Enterprise.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Good. Yeah. And I'm going to go a little bit out of order, Boomer. I'm going to jump ahead to Sunday for a specific reason.
Sure thing.
Sunday, what do we got going on Sunday?
Geeky Geezers, and I'm going to be talking about many topics. In fact, I wonder how many. We may have a lot of news topics to cover. We have to brush over some of them, but going to be talking about the Sega Genesis Mini 2. The game list was announced last week, and so I might do the good old days. I know you're usually front on that, but I might talk about the Sega Genesis, and then we can go right to the Mini 2 article.
You can school me a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll school you for a change. Yeah, that might be interesting.
That's fair. The reason I wanted to go out of order on that is because you guys have a very similar format, Geeky Geezers on Sunday, and what you do, Mike. But what I would encourage both of you to do is take your really long format live streams,
I know,
and re-release them in chunks on your individual topics. It's a great deal more content. It's more bite-sized for the fans that were really interested in one topic or whatever.
I think the one that was most popular in the last stream was Friday the 13th, possible sequel or reboot coming out. So that'd be going to be the clip if I get the time. Yeah.
I'm still wondering how that's going to turn out. I mean, you hope for the best, but you expect the worst, right?
But I know I probably should do more of that. I've only done it for a couple of streams that I've had where I've taken, just one little segment and cut everything out, and then re-uploaded it.
The model to look at is Pops on Pop Culture.
Yeah,
Brandon does a great job of he'll do a 2-hour stream on a couple different topics, and then he will be putting out all those different topics throughout the week, as segments. I think that's absolutely brilliant. That's the way to go. I only ever have one topic per night, so it doesn't work for me. It would work great for both of you. Just my suggestion.
This is why you have to go do your Brie Larson video rant. Here, I'll help you out, Troy. Here's what you do. You say, a lot of people call him Ryan Johnson, but I call him Ruin Johnson because he ruined it.
See, I just can't do that derivative stuff and regurgitate all the stuff that all the other YouTubers are saying. I can't do it. I have too much integrity to do that. I'm not a professor. I can't do
there
that.
You go. You could do your cooking videos, though. Those are really neat. The click on one.
I need to. And like I said, as soon as Netter gets me the new camera and the new phone, I will re-record my Pippius Claw. And when that takes off, and I'm feeling great about it, it'll encourage me to do some more Klingon cooking videos. I like your suggestion, Mike. I think I will maybe do a short one on prune juice. That's pretty good. Let's back up a day. Tomorrow night, over on Big Al Presents, Films with Friends, Netter and Big Al and myself in the background. We will be doing a watch party for the original Planet of the Apes. I was talking about them with the Mego figures. We'll be watching those damn dirty apes on Big Al Presents. I will be providing a Cosme link for those of you that don't have your own copy. And if you don't have your own copy, why not? Always own physical media so that they can never take it away from you. So that's Saturday. Sunday is, of course, Geeky Geezers. Do we have something coming up on Mr. Matchstick this week, Aged Boomer?
Monday. We had to move the night. He accommodated me because
so it's this Monday?
And we're gonna do a discussion of 3 DC animated features, which are Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Batman Under the Red Hood, and then Justice League Crisis on 2 Earths.
So, in the same vein as Mr. Matchstick's Culture Fortress, we're doing some rewatches or watch parties, or not. They're not really watch parties; they're just commentaries.
It's basically on cartoons, so it'd either be like
on
an
the
anime
DC
series
animated
or DC,
stories. which I have been surprised are very, very good. If they did this with their live action, they'd be doing.
They need to hire
swimmingly.
the writers.
Right? Exactly.
The movies, yeah.
But we'll be talking about what is coming up with DC going forward on Sunday. So that's on Monday rather than Tuesday for Mr. Matchstick. Wednesday, soundtracks with Birdman?
Yes, I believe we are going to do a rewatch of Eight-Legged Freaks.
Oh my gosh. I'd actually almost forgotten about that movie. It's been so
that sounds
long.
like a Big Al movie. We might see if we can get him on or something.
Yes, you really should. I think doesn't Big Al do the thumbnails for
I think it does sometimes,
Birdman?
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see
definitely reach out to him. I
see.
think he'd probably be up for that.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him, but
No,
yeah.
I don't want to either, unless any will, but I figured. Eight-Legged Freaks. You can watch it for free on Tubi right now.
Oh, there you go. See? And so that brings us around to Friday. That's 1 week from today, right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. Where my special guest behind the bar will be Wakizashi Tea House. He was on a panel with me and Pacific 414 and Pops and some others, and I really enjoyed hanging out with those guys, and so I said, I want to get you guys on my channel. And so Mike responded to me first, and Wakizashi responded next. So next week, Wakizashi Tea House, we'll be talking about his channel. And that's the week in review, folks. So any last words? Let's go Mike first.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on. It was nice to get to talk to you one-on-one, and also meet Age Boomer and Netter and everybody in the chat. I saw some familiar names in the chat as well, and chats I've seen, chatters I've seen on other channels, and they popped into my channel before. It's that's what's great about doing YouTube, is you do meet some of the same people, but because we all kind of go to the same channels, we cross-pollinate.
Yep. Yep. It's not like the old network television where you're directly competing with other people in your same time slots, same concepts and whatnot. There's actually a great synergy there. I definitely agree with you on that. Look at deleted scenes here. He's already got Wakizashi's Tea House, so you can front load on that. But my hope is that we've gotten Mike a good 5, 6, 8, extra subscriptions that he didn't have before he came on the channel. Make his past 2 hours worth it to have hung out with us. Age of Boomer, last words?
Nothing. It was great hanging out with you, Mike. Thank you for stopping by, and you'll have to have you on again sometime. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yep. Netter, last words?
I gotta come by you because otherwise I'm tinny.
Yep.
Same thing I say all the time. We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well and good, and it's a lot of fun, but it's more fun and more enjoyable when you guys are joining us, putting comments in the chat, giving us trivia, asking questions and all that, and just interacting with us, because you're not just friends, you're family. We love you guys, and thank you for hanging out with us.
Absolutely. That's why I always give her the last word, because she literally just says it best. As for me, there's only one way for me to close out the show. I got no words. I'm just going to turn it over to Gunnery Sergeant Arlie Ermy.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, sir.
Hit it, sweetheart.